Terraria has had its fair share of overpowered weapons in its lifetime. These usually get nerfed shortly after release, such as the vampire knives and the Stardust dragon staff. Today, we're going to be looking at the history of a weapon which, despite also being nerfed, still remains as one of the most busted and overpowered boss weapons in the game, the Daedalus Stormbow. The Daedalus Stormbow is a hard mode bow which was introduced in Terraria 1.3. It was added along with the free biome mimics, which is a rare mimic type that can spawn in the underground evil and hallowed biomes. The Stormbow in particular has a 25% chance of dropping from the hallowed mimic, which can be found infrequently in the underground hallowed. So I'd highly recommend setting up a farm like this. Simply just dig out rows of 7 with pearlstone in between. This ensures the mimic has enough room to spawn. Also, don't forget to place down hallowed torches, as this will slightly boost the odds of them spawning. Once you have a large enough farm, it won't be long until one shows up. Now, actually taking one down with early hard mode gear can be tricky, as these are one of the strongest non-boss enemies in the game. But if you're running a powerful ranged weapon like the Onyx Blaster, as long as you keep your distance, you should be able to take them out fairly quickly. But let's say you've just entered hard mode and don't have the equipment to take one out in such a small space. In this case, still set up a farm the best you can, but collect as many souls of light as possible, as 15 of these will let you craft the Key of Light. You can use the Key of Light to summon a hallowed mimic on the surface in a proper arena, making the fight a doddle. As long as you've got basic mobility and a weapon with a bit of range, it will make this fight much easier. Of course, actually getting the Stormbow to drop is down to the RNG gods, which were not on my side today, taking me 5 kills for it to drop. So then, in Terraria 1.4, what makes this weapon so overpowered? For starters, the bow rains down a barrage of arrows from the sky at a ridiculous rate. These arrows can be directed with the cursor horizontally and vertically. Moving your cursor to the ground will concentrate the arrows into a small area, whereas keeping your cursor high will create a large spread. Although, as you can see, the Stormbow definitely does not excel in single target combat. You really want to use this thing against large groups of enemies with many segments. You're probably a little underwhelmed at this point, as damage isn't that crazy. Well, you see, the real way to use the Stormbow is with Holy Arrows, which can be crafted with pixie dust. Holy Arrows synergize incredibly well with this weapon, as every shot effectively doubles its damage. And I say effectively because those arrows took a massive hit in 1.4 in hopes to decrease the Stormbow's effectiveness. This nerf made the fallen stars deal 50% of the original damage, not pierce enemies anymore, and shoot 20% less frequently. Despite Relogic's best efforts, this still does not dethrone the Stormbow from its position, but did ruin Holy Arrows for every other weapon. This nerf has always frustrated me, as just because one weapon with Holy Arrows was OP, doesn't mean that another bow using them will also be. Now let's see how it performs against some enemies. Against a group of mummies, as expected, it just annihilates them. The same can be said for more tanky enemies like mimics. It just tears through their high HP like it's nothing. But I think it's about time we address the elephant in the room, the largest flaw of this weapon, which is how it pretty much can only be used on the surface due to the way it fires. While this is a massive negative, I still think it holds its spot as being overpowered due to what it allows you to achieve in early hard mode. The bow can destroy the 3 mechanical bosses no problem, and even go as far as killing Master Mode Fishron early. This was by no means an easy fight, but a very fair one. The fact that Daedalus Stormbow can be obtained right after the Wall of Flesh is just nuts. I managed to clutch the fight with only a sliver of health left, yielding me items far above where the game progression wants you to be. So, the Daedalus Stormbow is a weapon which statistically has been nerfed to the ground along with the Holy Arrows for the whole class. But why does it still pack so much of a punch? I think the sheer number of projectiles make it effective against large enemies. It's fair to say that there is no other early hard mode weapon which is as effective against the Destroyer. What do you think? Is the Daedalus Stormbow still your go-to? Or do you think there's a better option? Thanks for watching. For more Terraria content like this, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.